As I mentioned earlier on, I've been dabbling with some form of personality system for the longest time. And I literally have probably experienced about 8 or 9 different systems, and each and every one of them offer us some kind of benefit. However, I have not stumbled across a system that is able to literally go down to a very deep level of knowing ourselves, primarily in the area of what we call our core fears and our core motivation, what drives us and what holds us back. So the Enneagram is a dynamic system that get us to be able to know the parts of us that will literally set us free, and also be able to help us begin to question what are our gifts, what are our strengths and our gifts, so that we are able to know ourselves in that manner. We are able to choose the kind of work. We are able to build better relationship with people because of what we call the sense of greater self-awareness through that process.
Yeah, the Enneagram actually gives us a very clear picture of maps of the world, different people's maps of the world, so their values, their belief systems are all within the different types. And it shows us how we have boxed ourselves into our type, and therefore how we can actually get out of the box ourselves as well.
Right. Now the first thing is that you need to know the box that you are in before you can know how to be able to get out. We have been in the training business and personal development business for the last 17 to 18 years, and we literally have people that come in from all walks of life. Yeah. On a very general level, people come in as a form of personal development, as self-awareness, to be able to bring out the best in themselves and to work with difficult people or people that they care a lot about. So that's a general sense. The professional people that we get a lot who comes into our training programs, there's a high percentage of them are what we call trainers. The next group of people are coaches, life and executive coaches. And then perhaps the last group of people, we will call them what we call managers or leaders of some kind. And we all can understand that these people are all involved in transferring skills or handling a group of people. So the Enneagram offers us what we call a way to be able to size up a person within a certain, perhaps a few minutes of observation, and asking a few questions, how they respond to the question, right? Be able to narrow them down to a spectrum of 2 or 3 types, so that from a scale of 9, we're able to move out to about 2 or 3. So within that range, after a bit more interaction, you're able to find out what is their main types. Some types are a lot easy to really get it because their patterns are very obvious, yeah? And sometimes a little bit more subtle, which needs a little bit more time to probe. But all in all, rather than just getting a very quick so-called sizing up of a person, through the process, once you find it out, you are truly able to build a very deep rapport with this person, and you can begin to understand how they will react or respond in a given situation. That puts you into a little bit more ease in terms of handling people, and how to be able to, in our so-called business and training and coaching, is to be able to know what kind of buttons to push to be able to get a person to move in the direction that they want to grow, or how to support them, and what are some of the buttons that you wouldn't want to push to get a negative response from the Enneagram.
So when we work with companies, normally we deal with team dynamics, group dynamics. So the Enneagram gives a very, very good way to understand how different people function at very good levels, and how to encourage people to work well together. And with understanding each other's types, we find that the productivity actually increases because they're more able to work well together. And for coaching on a one-to-one basis, the Enneagram is a marvelous way to find out what the person's core issues are, and therefore straight away through a simple diagnostic test, we can go in and help the person deal with their core issues.
Yeah, I think that's the most important and valuable takeaway for me in terms of the Enneagram. As most people know, my expertise is in neuro-linguistic programming, and I've spent the last almost close to coming to about 20 years trying to be able to unravel the mystery of human excellence and to unpack it into a language that people can understand. Now, when you come into some form of coaching, for example, executive or life coaching, through the NLP so-called approach, be able to size up the person to know what are their primary motivators or their core fears. It might take quite a while to be able to get there. Sometimes it takes a couple of hours to get the proper diagnostic information together to find out exactly what are the so-called the key areas or where the leverage point of change to be taken. Whereas if you are able to utilize the Enneagram profiling system and you are able to identify their home type, with the identification of the home type, you automatically know these are the areas of work that you need to focus on. These are the challenges that comes with that type straight away. And what are the strengths that they have, and in what kind of situation or activity they would excel, and what kind of activity or situation they would actually have challenges with.
Very useful also is for dealing with relationships. So a lot of the coaching sessions dealing with relationships between couples or maybe with their parent or with their child, using this Enneagram system, it gives a lot more understanding into why the relationship has come to this state and how to improve it as well.
Yeah. So for trainers, for example, the benefits are immense because sometimes a lot of people in my training, for example, they start to ask, Barney, it seems like you know who are the people to choose, who are the people that will work well with each other. It seems as if you know how to be able to kind of like speak the right language of the person that you are talking to, right? Which is outside of the training material. I said, well, the reason I'm able to do that because I have an additional so-called wealth of information, which is the Enneagram. When I work with graduate students and they display a certain behavior, straight away I know where they're coming from, what are things to say, and what I need to do in order not to provoke them, or what I think that I need to say to calm them down straight away. Yeah, an example would be if you are handling a type 8, for example. They have got a very exertive energy. They're coming from you, but you know that outward demeanor is coming from a space of wanting to be able to protect themselves and to safeguard themselves. So if you would respond with the same level of so-called attack, for example, you bring out more aggression in them, for example. But at the same time, if you present a side of you that's a little bit soft and they push over, they might come at you more because they want to know that you can actually stand up to them. So to be able to hold your space and to speak in a very straightforward, direct manner with a type 8, for example, helps you to be able to build a rapport and also be able to disarm any so-called possible conflict that might escalate because you know what's driving them in the training setting, for example. Yeah.
What I like about the Enneagram is also when you learn about other types, then you learn about the difficulties that they are going through. So it helps to bring a lot of compassion into the world. For example, for the type 1s, if you're with a type 1 and they're forever being very critical and judgmental about you, or they need things to be right and they want to make sure that you do it the right way, their standards are so high that you can't meet them, they redo all the work you've done because you haven't done a good enough job, and you feel very, very frustrated. If you look into their own shoes, you realize that the type 1 is actually very critical of themselves and they're very judgmental of themselves and they beat themselves up. And in fact, to have compassion for them and to help them to relax, give them permission to have fun, it really helps. Especially when people come at us and maybe they are very reactive and they're coming with a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. So if we know their type, straight away we can understand where this reaction is coming from, what do they want, what is their need that's not fulfilled, and then we can actually help to calm them down and to meet their needs and to build their rapport again. So it's a very useful tool in terms of understanding where people are coming from and not taking it personally.
So the Enneagram offers us a kind of a very useful, very wide and deep understanding of people, and so that you can use it in almost any situation to bring out the best in people and help people to bring forth a healthier version of themselves.